Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the webinar, The Visionary Fashion Trends, Lifestyle and Retail, one of the highlighted events of the HKTDC International Sourcing Show online. This session brings together overseas and domestic experts to shed light on the upcoming fashion and retail trends. We have altogether more than 15 webinars focusing on other sectors coming up on International Sourcing Show online, Intelligence Hub. Please visit Intelligence Hub on our ISS website and gain insights from industry experts. Don't miss the business matching opportunities through our platform to explore business with exhibitors. This webinar will be conducted in English and Putonghua with simultaneous interpretation services. You're able to choose either Putonghua or English as the interpretation language by clicking the interpretation button at the bottom of the screen. 研讨会进行期间，参会人士可选择用英语或普通话收听演讲。你只需要按下屏幕最底部的口译选项，就可以挑选语言。We're delighted to have invited some heavyweight speakers with us today. They will first give their individual presentations, followed by a panel discussion. Without further ado, may I invite our first speaker, Mr. Michael Leow, Asia Pacific Sales and Marketing Head of Fashion Snoops, to share with us overview of the visionary fashion trends for a post-COVID world in SS 2022. Michael, please.
Thank you so much, Maggie. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all today. Absolutely delighted to be in collaboration with the Hong Kong Trade Development Council again. It's been a very long time. My association with the HKTDC goes back 20 years now. But really, first time that we're doing this online, so this is still a very new experience for me. And I hope the audience enjoys this as much as we all are enjoying producing this for you. So I'm here today to speak on behalf of my partner, which is Fashion Snoops. I've been their sales and marketing head in Asia going back to 2007, so about 15 years now. What we're an online fashion trend forecasting service that has teams of trend forecasters and trend scouts based around the world, and we collect information which we provide to you updated every day so that you can see what's going on fashion-wise, any new ideas, any new innovations. These are all captured very quickly by our team and brought, analyzed and brought to you. Probably even more important now this year or this and last year than ever before, as we are all experiencing lockdown. None of us can travel, certainly not where we are. We cannot leave Hong Kong. So having a service like Fashion Snoops, we believe will really help our clients. So really, that's just a very brief introduction. You can contact me if you need any more information. My contact details will be on all the slides, but really today, just to introduce our trends for spring, summer 22. Normally when I do this, we speak for an hour. Today I have 20 minutes. So apologies in advance because I'm going to have to go very, very quickly today. So let's jump right into it. The way we do our trends, like every other trend agency, to be honest, is we start taking a look at what most people would call mega trends, the big lifestyle trends that may not specifically be about the fashion industry, but certainly will affect consumer behavior in the fashion industry. So these are our 5 mega trends that we produced, and I'll give you a little bit of an idea of the timing. So these mega trends were produced and put on our website in January of 2021. So these were trends that we had identified before the pandemic, before anybody had really even heard of the pandemic. So the 5 key themes are mega trends that we were tracking at that time. The first one's called a wake up, where we really see deep divides between us and how we hope that people are seeking connections to really restore our humanity. The second one is our sustainable mega trend that everyone can see. We call it eco-virtuous, which really examines the morality, the new morality that is much more sustainable focused, and the connectivity of each of us within our shared ecosystem. The third mega trend that we saw is called superhuman, where we look at the parallel trajectories. And this is something that we've been seeing for about 5-6 years, to be honest with you, that parallel trajectory of science and health, with the health tech revolution of all of these websites and wearables that track every step that we take, every calorie that we eat, and all of those sorts of things. And really, over the course of 2021, this mega trend of superhuman really had a new real resonance that we hadn't anticipated when we put it up in January of 21. The next one is digital deepen. In this one, we look at really at the next step of the evolution. We've really taken since sort of the mid-90s with the birth of the internet and email, the stage of digital development has really reached a new stage. Real-time data science and AI, which I know one of our other speakers will speak a lot more about later on, has really changed how we live, how we experience retail, how we'll experience media, how we all work. So that rise of AI and data science, that it's inevitable. And that's what that mega trend that we're seeing, and that we're seeing that move into a new era of early digital infancy to us jumping into the digital deep end. And finally, as we've all seen play out across, unfortunately, more than 3 years, the clash, where we look at the tensions between the government, big technology, big pharma, and the people in the middle of it. You know, we're all living in the IT revolution, which has brought a lot of global prosperity, of course, but at the same time, it's really fueled wealth inequalities, a lot of social disparities, and there has been in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years a real clash in ideologies, and people becoming a lot more fixed in terms of their belief, and there's a lot less listening to each other, unfortunately. And so we see that as a mega trend. Just for something going, so those are the different trends that we have. And really what you'll find is, if you go through our website, explanations about each and every one of these themes. What you'll see now is basically the next year. So that was for spring summer 22. Now we have it on our site already for the 2023 season. So the 5 themes which we posted in January of 22 is return to wild, time to heal, metaverse creations, course correct, and rehumanize. So just to show you that we already moved on to the year 2023 and the mega trends that we feel will affect life for everybody between now and then. So really, yes, those are the mega trends, but what you come for today are the key trends for spring summer 22. So without taking up too much of your time, let's just get down to it. So the first theme we have is called essential. And again, just to let you know the timing of all of this, this would have been put on our site roughly about July of 2021. So by this time, the pandemic obviously had fully taken off. So these themes were put together in an environment at a time where we fully knew the ramifications and the impacts on our life of COVID-19. So this is the first trend of today, which we call essential. The pandemic really has given rise to a whole host of new terminologies. You know, what we're doing today, Zoom, did not, at least I was not aware that it existed, was in existence before the pandemic hit. New terms like home styling, COVIDiot, all of these are now part of the new normal, which in itself, the term new normal is another really overused term. But there really isn't one word that has been used more or been loaded with more meaning or new meaning than the word essential. You know, we have essential workers. Who's in the essential workers? What is essential travel as we all try and get onto airplanes? And in Hong Kong, at the start of the pandemic, essentials was essential supplies as we had, runs on toilet paper and rice, and you couldn't get any sort of basic essentials. So the term essential has been one of probably the preeminent terms and words used during COVID-19. And COVID-19 has really redefined what is essential to most of us. We've all been given the time, because we've all been stuck at home, to meditate on what essential means to us. So this theme really is one for the times. At a time when we're all over anxious, we're all distracted, we're all very much concerned about our health. This is a theme, which you'll see, brings a soft whisper and a bit of grounding to all of us, bringing into focus and allowing us to see clearly what is genuinely important to us, the things that will create a simpler life, more straightforward and more full of joy. Of course, it will differ for each and everyone. It's come out of two of the mega trends that I just introduced to you, which is superhuman and eco-virtuous. So it's a combination of those two. So when we do a trend story, when we come up with a theme, we look at these mega trends. We look at 3 or 4 different manifestations that trends will take. We look at key provocations that will result in these ideas becoming the key trends for a season. And one of the things that we really look at is consumer needs. So in exploring consumer needs for the essential trend, these were the things that we feel that we're advising our clients to keep in mind. The most important consumer need is a craving for intimacy and for meaningful relationships during the lockdown. Now, we've been really lucky, and we shouldn't gloat about it, obviously, but we've been really lucky in Hong Kong, where we've not really even had a lockdown. But people in, I would say, most countries in all the world have experienced major inconvenience, major restrictions on their ability to travel, how many people they can have in their household. In Melbourne, in Australia, you weren't even allowed to see your girlfriend for about 3 months because they were in a different household and things like that. So that craving of intimacy and meaningful relationships has come to the fore. And really what we see consumers shifting to is towards essentialism, the simplicity of choice and a quest towards less but better. And let me say that again, less but better. So the final thing, key thing that consumers are looking for, that this theme encompasses, is consumers want to be protected without sort of having to do a lot of work to ensure that they are protected. They want full transparencies in the products that they buy. Where is the content from, where it was sourced, how it was made. So basically, it's a return to minimalism. It's a return to simplicity. And this is our color palette for Essential. You'll see on the right-hand side some of the sun-filled Sunday afternoon colors of gold and yellows and earthy brown tones and khakis. And then in the middle, you have the blues, which gives it a sense of buoyancy, brings us that sense of community, of daily purpose and craft. So this is Essential.
Just lost my keys again. I don't know how I'll make it through the year. And when you're coming home, I'm stuck here, but I don't feel all alone. Cause I burned the dinner and we two are waiting on one more to come right through, back to. Well, I want you, baby, it's all I do. Come to meet you, baby, it's all I do. Oh, my love, baby, you're all I see. Let's get ready, maybe I might be.
So just to quickly explain, those videos are put together by our team for a very specific reason. All the colors, all the textures, the music, the feel, it's all there to try and really give you a very complete understanding of what our trend is supposed to mean. So let's move quickly because I'll be fast running out of time. The next one, next theme for the season for Spring Summer 22 is called Nourish. As I said earlier, we all have had anxiety about our health, whether we're going to get sick, concerned about hygiene. But for most of us, actually, touch wood, the pandemic has not really delivered sickness, but what it has hopefully really delivered is an opportunity for restoration, allowing us the space and time to acknowledge that the greater illness is really of lost connections, of overproduction, and of exhaustion. So what this theme about and what Nourish is about, of course, nourish means to eat, to replenish your body. But what this theme is about what you need to replenish your body, but also your mind and your soul. So you can keep that in mind. Really, it's one of a theme that's really come out of Superhuman, which was the health megatrend, and obviously the digital deep end and that focus on new technology. So really what we should view this as through the eyes of consumers, we should view this pause as a gift, as an opportunity for self-reflection, of quietness. What else we're seeing is that we need more human-centered design that supports us and that nurtures us. And we do need something, consumers need something for all of our senses to be stimulated and also to be soothed. So as you can see, this color palette is oddly soothing, yet it's kind of effervescent. So you've got that dichotomy of soothing the soul at the same time as nourishing the mind. So you have an array of off-kilter pastels that really instantly calms the senses without being too sweet, and some vibrant pops that really enliven these dreamy hues and sort of balancing out that bit of softness with a bit of acidity. So this is Nourish. So hopefully that gives you that sort of sense of whimsy that's very important in this particular theme. Really a beautiful theme. So the third theme for the season, we call this Liberate. That idea of liberty really has gained heightened awareness during the pandemic. You know, those of us who've experienced, well, in fact, all of us have experienced limitations and restrictions that this lockdown has imposed upon us. None of us can travel as freely as we like. So we're all really yearning for the freedoms that we once enjoyed and, to be honest, took for granted. So really at this time, we're in this particular theme, we're recognizing the duality of liberty, that to be free of this pandemic, we must all sort of accept temporary limitations. But one of the other things that we've also really learned in this pandemic, that's the one message that's really been emphasized, is we cannot be free without each other. None of us can act individually. We must all act collectively for us to get away from this point. So this is what this story is about. It comes from three of our mega trends: digital deep end, the clash, and a wake up. And it's the consumers here. So what we really do is one of the things that consumers count on is for brands, fashion brands, lifestyle brands to provide tools that proactively empower us to contribute to social and creative issues. Certainly in Europe, in America, brands are getting very activistic. They're actually saying now that they stand for something, which contrasts from what brands used to do of trying to be on the fence for every subject. What's also important for consumers is to have a dive into new realities, explore and go on adventures. We're all yearning that. So they're looking for brands to be able to fulfill that need as well, to give them that sense of adventure. And we look to channel all our heightened emotions into more creative expression. So as you would imagine, because this is all about a sense of adventure, Liberate really presents a very polarized palette, sort of very energized, high energy brights set against grounded neutrals. The vibrancy of this is our most dramatic palette for the season, and it really, that dramatic colors really mimics the powerful movements that are happening all around the world right now. Has, you know, that really bright hazardous red and yellow tones to really create that sense of urgency and intensity, whilst the reliance on technology is basically indicated by the cool digitized blues and neons that you see in this particular palette. So this is Liberate. And to finish up, our final theme, and you'll see that the common thing that runs through our trends for this season, obviously, they're all in reaction to the pandemic. So our final theme is called Rebirth. And in Rebirth, as the names absolutely suggests, we find second chances. We have really a rare opportunity to learn from our past lives and try again, really with a renewed understanding understanding of the interconnectedness of all things on Earth. So by spring summer 22, touch wood again, we will all be emerging from the pandemic. It will be an unknown and uncertain future, but certainly something where we can move forward, having learned of 2020 and 2021. So this is from two themes, two mega trends that we saw back in January of 2021, which is called Eco Virtuous and a Wake Up. And here are what your consumer needs for rebirth. So unlike, and I've been in this industry a long time, unlike previous economic cycles where concern for the environment, concern for fair trade was really limited to those times of boom. You know, when the economy was doing really well, people, you know, went into Marks and Spencer's and bought their fair trade coffee or their sustainable cotton. I guess Marks and Spencer would be sustainable cotton underwear. But we feel that this time is different. As we all emerge from the pandemic, I think despite the effects on the economy of the pandemic, we believe that sustainability will be still at the forefront of consumers' minds, even as we face our potentially the greatest ever economic bust. So consumers will really care about what we consume. Again, they want to know where their products come from, and they want to know that the brands that they are buying from do seek to protect the environment, and they see that as a moral duty. So this is the color palette, as you would imagine, a very earthy, pastel infused color palette, a lot of feelings of nature into here too, with your darkened browns, your hues of greens, which hopefully will symbolize new life. And you know, there's also some sun-washed citrus notes and a little bit of neon to offset all of those colors. So this is Rebirth.
I never thought it'd be this. I'm jumping out of your arms. I let it fall in the pit. Is this what they call the abyss? I fought it caught for an inch, turning a miracle mile. I can recall when your lips used to contort in the smiles. Bright as the sun, was drawn in eclipse. I haven't seen light in a while. Hasn't been bright in a while. Even days you met me, you don't want to give me clarity. A testament to your character. On your birthday you told me to donate money to charity. You don't make it necessary. Ain't got like Saturday, you telling me what my stress out bury me. You don't want to take care of me, I'm so gone at conclusion, foregone and confuse you. Wearing war zone and storm on, I'm ready to go home, I'm ready for your bank and comb my hair out so don't drag. I just want my hair up, I don't want to mistake, I just want to mess up, I just want to get grub. From my spot again. Do the odds working, I'm fit to stay down, skate town, head low and face down like a kettle greyhound. Doing God's work in the devil's playground. I never thought it'd be this. I'm jumping out of your arms. I let it fall in the pit. Is this what they call the abyss? I fought it clawed for an inch, turning a miracle mile. I could recall when your lips.
So on our site, we separately cover trends for the fashion industry as a whole, as you've seen with the 4 themes that I've presented today. But we then look separately at themes for women's, for men's, for kids, for youth and streetwear, for intimate apparel, swimwear, cosmetics, the home market, fashion accessories such as shoes and handbags. So we look at all of those areas individually. And of course, with an online presentation, hard to know what you might be interested in. So again, you've seen my contact details. If you would like to have a free trial of our service, please contact me. We can let you have a few days on our site. But just to show you, as an example of women's wear, the type of information you would get, again, very similar layout to what you saw before, very visual, lots of information on colors, on where the ideas came from, what are going to be impacts in this case, because it's women's wear, on materials, on detailing, on prints and patterns, on styling for young women's, for contemporary women's, for denim. So you would get a lot of information from our site specifically to the areas that you work, as well as that sort of overview. And just to end it up, we also started a new directory on our site in about April of last year, where we have lots of guides from the best practices of lifestyle companies, cosmetic companies, beauty companies. Each one of these, you can click on them, is a story on the best practices and learnings from COVID-19. So you can see all of that if you would like, either as our client, we hope you'll like us enough to become our client, or just during your free trial. You can get in touch with me. I own a fashion bookstore in Kwaichung. It's open by appointment only. So if I represent 20 different fashion trend forecasting services, some are trend books, some are online trend services, as you just saw. If you would like to come down, we have fashion magazines. We have everything that anyone who's creative in the fashion industry needs. Please feel free to get in touch. We've also got this new website that we only started during the pandemic as another way to connect with our clients. Here is our website if you want to take that down. Or by WeChat if you would like to, if you're watching from China and you would like to connect from China, we also have WeChat accounts. But really importantly, wish you all a great day. Thank you very much for taking the time to visit our seminar. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. May I now invite our next speaker, Mr. Matthew Olivier-Lovett, Director of Retail from Omnilytics, to share with us some retail trends. Matthew, please.
Thanks so much for that, Michael. That was fantastic. I actually went to an event Michael showed in Guangzhou about 2 years ago, which was absolutely amazing. And a lot of what he said back then is exactly what's happening now. So he's definitely a man to follow, and definitely a man to listen to. Anyway, thanks, Michael. So guys, I'm going to move over to my presentation here. I'm going to speak to you a little bit about Omnilytics, who we are, what we do. And also what I want to try and do today is maybe just give you a little bit of a few tips on advancing your brand strategy using data in 2021. Okay, so it'll be less about our business and more about what we do for brands specifically in the market, and maybe we'll have a little bit of learning here and there. And what I always say, and Michael's probably sick and tired of hearing this, is that if you come away with 3 or 4 useful bits of information today, then hopefully I've done my job. Okay. So first and foremost, guys, what is Omnilytics? Well, Omnilytics is a fashion analytics and insights software brand that helps brands and retailers make better decisions using data. So what are those decisions? Well, it can be anything from merchandising, marketing, product development, design, and buying. Hopefully what we can try and do is merge a little bit of science with your art to create the most balanced and most customized assortment possible for the market. So we scrape, or we gather about 25 billion data points daily. We cover about 400 retailers, 88,000 brands from 47 countries in the world, and we have over a 4-year history of product information. So what we're trying to do, and what we're here in the market to do, is trying to transform retail one decision at a time. You know, we get a lot of people who are saying to us, Matt, I don't really know what my consumers are looking for. If consumers do not buy from me, who do they buy from? What are they buying? And even more of a question is becoming more and more apparent day by day is, what are consumers buying online? What am I missing? What is the areas that have a high growth? What are the areas that are dying? So what we do is we go into the market, we scrape data from these brands, and we help those fashion teams use this to align their product, their pricing, their promotion, their marketing strategies to really build winning collections. So I get a lot of people saying to me that retail is changing, and yes, it is. It's very clear to say to see from our evidence that COVID has changed the retail landscape. Past sales data is no longer indicative of future performance. How do we know that? Well, normally brands will be using past sales data to help them understand what's happening in the future. Things are changing dramatically, and we're going to have to use more and more data to help us make more educated decisions every day. And because consumer behaviors are changing rapidly, that's really changing the way in which we go to market and how we trade. And as you heard from Michael, wastage is everywhere. Sustainability is becoming the key word for everyone. And if we can really identify how do we go to market in an efficient and functioning manner, that really gives us a great ability to not only overproduce, not only have to liquidate, not only have to discount and have to try and keep up with seasonal fashion. It just becomes this easier process of knowing what the consumer wants, or knowing what the consumer is searching for, and creating products that still resonate with your brand DNA, but also have a viability in the market as well. So here's a question I think a lot of you are probably asking, especially when it comes to data. Are we facing a retail apocalypse? My answer is very simply no. We are not facing a retail apocalypse. We are just in the process of a necessary retail evolution. How do we know that? Well, we can base it on what we've seen historically. So Amazon, ASOS entering into the market and just turning the fashion industry, turning the way consumers buy on their head, or on its head. What we've also seen is that in 2019, there are over 9,000 store closings, which was a 59% jump in 2018. So we're already seeing this big shift to the necessary reliance on offline sales, to maybe this move towards balancing out with online sales. Historically, online sales in the global market would represent anywhere from 1% to 2% of overall sales in the fashion space. Now we're seeing it represent anywhere from 10 to 15%. In any market, in any space. That's a huge jump. So my argument is that COVID has not necessarily accelerated an apocalypse, but it's a necessary speed of evolution and revolution that the market is undergoing at this point in time. So I think a lot of you out there who are brands, a lot of you out there who are working in the fashion industry are probably going to ask, can things go back to normal? Well, a good friend of mine, Bob Neville, is the former global retail creative director and head of retail at New Balance, says we will not return to normal, just embrace the change. And I think Michael spoke a little bit about this. He spoke a little bit about what sort of change is happening in the market. So that's a fantastic aspect or look at from the trend forecasting side. But let me give you an insight as to how it looks from our side. So what is the solution? Well, first and foremostly, a fact-based data approach. There's too many brands out here right now who are creating wonderful, beautiful products, and they're just firing into the market, expecting consumers to buy. And then when consumers don't buy, they're going, well, there's something wrong, There doesn't necessarily have to be something wrong. Some of our biggest and best clients, what they have done is they've just fired into the wrong market. Some of our best clients have taken products. I'll give you an example from an Australian brand that we have. We're trying to move into the US market. And what they were trying to do is they're trying to sell their products from Australia in the US market. And they came to us 6 months in and said, look, guys, it's just not working. Our products are not selling very well. When we did an analysis of the market, we looked at the best-selling styles, best-selling colors, best-selling designs, best-selling categories of clothing. and what they had created, there were two different data sets entirely. So what they were creating was perfect, was customized for the Australian market, but it did not translate towards the American market. So what did we do? We just looked at markets around the world that would complement this design, this brand. So what was really interesting about that was we were able to help them build a collection specifically for the United States, because what they had created before wasn't. So we had a little bit of design, a little bit of art, and try to mesh them together in a really functional manner. Secondly, question everything. I think that's one of the things that I really try and focus on with a lot of my clients is questioning everything. Come with that fact-based approach, but just try and work out what is it that consumers are looking for? What is it? How are they changing their behavioral habits? Are they shopping here? Are they shopping there? What sort of brands are they following? Understanding this is really going to improve. Thirdly, identify and improve your touch points. We'll touch on this a little bit later when we talk about how brands are going to market, but Michael put it really well. Giving that human emotion, you know, we're human beings. We thrive off sentiment. We thrive off emotional connection. Being able to do that with your brand and improving the amount of touch points you have with a brand, even if it's a live chat function, even if it's just a nice customized EDM every week, something like that will really help you understand what it is the consumers are looking for. Number 4, agility. Try and understand that the market is not going to stay the same. The amount of mom and pop stores that laugh at me when I say, well, look, have you considered e-commerce? And they go, that's ridiculous. Why do we need e-commerce? Well, because if you don't, it's not a nice to have, it's a need to have nowadays, especially for the faster fashion brands, especially for the mom and pop stores. Number 5, emotional connection with your consumers. You know, Michael talked about this as well. Really try and understand what they need. Go and speak to them, go and talk to them, go and understand them. Don't use that human connection, which is our last point. That is going to be really important. Even though we are separated by Zoom, even though we are speaking from thousands of miles away at this point, we're still wanting to see each other's face. We're still wanting to see what other people believe. And I think, you know, not losing a human connection is going to be a massive part of this. So what are all these together? Well, what I call them is the simple building blocks of omnichannel solutions. So why is omnichannel important? Well, let me show you. An omnichannel solution is a solution, if you guys are not doing this right now, if you're not going home, you're not looking at an omnichannel solution, do it now. As soon as you go home, as soon as you have dinner, whatever it may be, go home and look at it. Because what it means is that it's a strategy that helps you meet consumers where they are, whether physically or digitally, okay? Alternative distribution channels, both offline and online. That is a really important function. Why? Because consumers are starting their search online nowadays. The amount of people I speak to and say, well, you know, consumers want to come in and feel my products in the store. I said, yes, I'm sure they do, but I can almost guarantee you that the younger generation, the generation that most of you are going to be selling to within the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to be looking for your product online before they do anything. That is where a customer's journey starts, empirically. I'll give you an example. Southeast Asia, through 11/11 sales last year on Lazada. On Lazada, 80% of sales were made on a mobile phone. On top of that, 60% of those sales were done by millennials. So there is a trend, there is a want, there is a vested need and desire to spend money online through mobile phones. So if you don't have a presence there, I guarantee you're shooting yourself in the foot. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be amazing. Just give yourself a little bit of presence, whether it's Instagram, whether it's a quick Shopify platform, whatever it may be. Just a little bit of presence is absolutely perfect. Another thing you have to sort of validate is single versus multi-vertical marketplaces. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. And lastly, the right channel for you, marketplace positioning or brand association. So I'm gonna give you a really good example here, guys. So I've just taken the average median price from all ASOS, Topshop, and Farfetch brands. And you can see those median prices on the side here. Now I get a lot of brands coming to me and saying, Matt, I'm seeing ASOS is doing some really cool things in the market. I want to sell on their platform. And I have to say to them, well, guys, your median price point is 60 to 90 USD. The median price point on ASOS is 25 USD. And yes, they have a couple of premium brands, but they certainly don't have many brands in that price space. Why are you looking to sell there? Now, don't get me wrong, there's always an opportunity to sell on ASOS, and we can do some more research and work out, are consumers buying products at that price point? Well, in this case, what's going to be really important for you is to understand, well, what can we do, or how can we identify the ability to look at. As you can see here, ASOS has a median price of 25 USD. Okay, and Topshop has a median price of 44 USD. And so I get a lot of brands who are just not realizing that the products that they have do not fit well into the retailers they're looking to sell into. So this is a really big problem that a lot of brands are not realizing. All of these retailers have brand acquisition teams, and all of them are looking for spaces or gaps within their brand association, within their marketplace positioning. And they're looking for brands that can fit into that space. Now, if you're a 60 USD brand trying to sell on ASOS, which is a 25 medium price retailer, you're less likely to sell there. So it's not anything to do with, they don't like your products. It's just positioning. And that's something we've really got to think about, especially as we move and we evolve into this e-commerce space. So here's a few real key factors for those of you out there who maybe are evaluating looking into the right channels. First and foremostly, operating costs. There's always going to be a marketplace fee structure. For every sale that you make, there'll be fees associated to that. Secondly, participation in marketplace-wide discounting and sales events. Okay, so this is something that is really important to understand, is that some events you can be a part of, some events you don't have to be a part of, whether it's 11/11 or it's Christmas or it's Easter, whatever it may be. All of these elements will change. Thirdly, manpower to manage the channel. This is going to be very important. There are platforms like Lazada and Shopee and Alibaba and the rest of them, which you don't have to do that much managing of. But there are other platforms that can give you more control and less time associated with it. Lastly, reduce control over pricing. You can have these conversations with the brands about what sort of pricing you want to go to, what are your price ranges, band ranges, etc. But that's always going to be a problem when you're moving with these platforms. However, on the other side, expected returns, new revenue stream, potential new customer segment, increased brand exposure, and tech-enabled features to drive trade, which is product review tools, chatbots, augmented reality tools, etc. Okay, so what are the key takeaways? Protect your brand equity. Secondly, assortment allocation must be optimized. This gives you a chance at preventing overstocking issues that stem from a one-size-fits-all approach, and tailoring the assortment to suit the needs of each marketplace as well. And lastly, operating costs and expected returns, which we just covered in the last slide. So we talked a lot about meeting consumer demand. So why is this important? Well, from our side, it's absolutely essential to understand what consumer preference is. Even if you don't follow consumer preference, even if that's not what you do, it's good for you to have a good understanding of what it is that consumers spend their money on. Secondly, assortment options and sizing. I had a very big conversation with a brand I can't reveal for obvious reasons, who was taking the same sizing they had in Singapore into Malaysia. But Malaysians naturally, biologically, are bigger people than Singaporeans. And so they saw all of their larges selling out like hotcakes and thought, great, let's restock larges. When actually the real issue was they weren't really stocking any extra larges. And that was a huge segment, a huge amount of money they left on the table. Thirdly, pricing architecture. What prices can I sell these products at in this market, on these retailers at optimum price point? Absolutely essential. Fourthly, design material. Michael can tell you a lot about this kind of stuff. Is what sort of designs, what sort of materials are resonating in the market? Does this market not like paisley? Are there reasons why these styles and these materials are not selling? I mean, so many of our brands come to new markets, especially in the Southern Hemisphere, and it doesn't sell. And ask the consumers, why doesn't it sell? Because, well, this material is too heavy for this environment. It's too humid here. So there's so many problems like that. Fifth, distribution channels, which we already covered. Sixth, market expansion. I gave you that story about the Australian brand trying to sell into the US. It's essential to understand what consumers are wanting in those markets. And lastly, sustainability, which we've already covered today as well. So it's absolutely important to understand your online offering influences your offline offering. So understand the right market, creating a tailored approach, and also cost considerations. These are the three main features from that. So what are the key takeaways? Well, firstly, you're to leverage on market insights to confidently formulate the right assortment plan. Secondly, identifying and validating category opportunities to produce or stock the right products for a marketplace is essential to helping brands optimize sales whilst minimizing risk. And that's a really, really important key, guys. And we'll talk about this a little bit later in the panel discussion, but minimizing risk and optimizing sales growth at the same time is essential. Why is it essential? Because we're not a charity. We don't want to be running a charity. We're running a business. Key takeaways on top of this is, guys, use a solid base of data. Even if you don't have access to tools like ours or tools around the world, just go home. Maybe have a way of putting all your POS slips into an EPOS system, electronic point of sale system. I mean, that's a good place to start. Enact change based on those facts. If you're seeing that consumers are going to one store or the other, buying more products from this store than the other store, then that's a great opportunity for you to take your stock there and move it to another store. Secondly, if you're not agile and adaptable, trust me, guys, consumers are savvier than you think. They're savvier than you'd ever imagine, okay? So try and use best-in-class external resources if you can. If not, just step by step, incrementally, try and grow your product, grow your ability to adapt and react to the market. Thirdly, be unique. Consumers are looking for uniqueness. They're looking for stories, okay? Others will follow if you stay true to who you are, you stay true to your human connection, your ability, your want, your need, your desire to reach out to consumers. And fourthly, humans are social. They're seeking out experiences. So create experiences for them. You know, there's a brand, Jacquemus, does some amazing stuff on TikTok. None of the other luxury brands are on there at all. And we'll speak about this a little bit later, but none of the other brands are on there at all. And they're speaking to a demographic that's begging for it, that sees the majority of their content from that platform. Number 5, ensure consistency of consumer experience. You know, make sure that their experience online is the same as experience offline. I think that's a really good place to really start your growth in 2021. Okay, so thank you guys for listening to me today. I really appreciated your time. If you want to have some more access to this product, please feel free. That is my email at the bottom. Feel free to reach out personally to me. More than happy to share the information with you. Our website is omnilytics.co. But you know, it's always better to go through me personally. I will respond to you personally. That's not a fake email, trust me. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you to Hong Kong Trade Department. It's always a pleasure to speak at your events, and hopefully we can get this year kickstarted the right way. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Matthew. Our last speaker is Ms. Jatyri, CEO of Trendstop. Let's welcome Jaana for her presentation. Jaana, please.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. Welcome and welcome to the Trendstop portion of the presentation. So we're going to look at how, of course, the entire world has changed and what that means for suppliers as well as retailers and brands, and how product developments are changing and how sort of trends need to evolve to create better and better accepted products by the end customers. So I'm Jaana, the founder of Trendstop, and also joining me today is Kate Hart from the Trendstop team.
Hi everyone. So first we have a quick introduction to those of you who are new to Trendstop. We are a premium trend forecasting agency who identify key trends earlier than other sources and help brands, retailers and suppliers apply them correctly to create products that sell. Our statistics show that up to 50% of pre-pandemic fashion businesses and careers may not exist in the next 6 years. So we at Trendstop want to make sure that this won't be you. We have a team of 148 global trend specialists in 27 major fashion cities. In normal times, they visit and report across 1,500 stores and events each month to our London HQ. We have specialists in all areas, as you can see from the job titles on screen, meaning that when you work with Trendstop, you have a really senior team of experts at your fingertips. The clients we work with are innovative and forward-thinking brands, and they range from startups to global leaders like some of the names that you can see on the screen now. We understand that being a winning brand isn't just about great products. It's crucial to have a 360-degree holistic approach across consumer, brand, product, and marketing. At Trendstop, we help brands attract both existing and new customers and grow sales using our 360 holistic method. The Trendstop methodology works ahead of the trend life cycle. You may already be familiar with this trend adoption curve developed in the 1950s and publicized in Malcolm Gladwell's Tipping Point. Unlike other sources, we track how trends go through different consumer groups, starting from the innovator stage where trends begin and progressing through the different consumer groups until it becomes mainstream and finally disappears through the laggards about 2 years later. The most profitable opportunities are in the green zone on the left side of the curve. And at Trendstop, we identify the trends at the very start of the curve. So you never miss out on new trends and you'll have plenty of time to plan your products and get ahead of your competitors. And here's a quick practical example on how we help brands transform their ranges and grow sales. This customer is a lifestyle brand who wanted to appeal to a younger millennial audience. This is what their range on the left and marketing on the right looked like before we started working with them. They struggled to excite their target audience and wasted a great deal of time, money, and resources on products that didn't sell. And this is 6 months later, showing how we elevated their product design, collection assortment, and marketing campaigns to appeal to that younger audience and grow profitability.
And here is another great case study of a value retailer we worked with. So before we started working with them, their private label ranges looked very dated and their products are sort of dated and boring and untrendy in the store. So only a season later, we had revamped their private label brands to look much more premium and even luxurious for a value retailer. And then we have developed, within 3 months, we developed new on-trend, current and relevant products that were in line with what the target consumer that they defined was looking for. And they doubled their sales in some of their product areas as a result of this exercise. So we're gonna then jump into talking about how can you create these perfect and best-selling products easily and effortlessly. And just to let you know that by tapping your phone onto this QR code on the screen now, you can also receive a little further reading in our Future Consumer Shopping Habits white paper. So scan the code below. And if you didn't get a chance to scan it from this screen, don't worry, it will be on all of the screens in the left corner for the rest of the presentation. So you have a chance to catch it, and our contact details are there as well. So if you see anything you like in this presentation and would like to talk further to us about services, then you've got both the code with the to leave your details or the email address to contact Annabelle to speak further with us, and we'd love to hear from you. So then let's then jump into talking about how can you create perfect products that the consumers are going to want to buy. So let's start with a number one post-pandemic market truth regarding product development. And it is that in the current time and how the market has changed, what this means is that having a great brand doesn't guarantee success. And we're gonna look at a little case study example of this shortly. So the product really must be right. Otherwise the consumer doesn't buy it, no matter how great the brand is. So, and not only the product has to be right, it really has to be perfect in this time when people are really considering carefully what to spend their money on and wanting to be more sustainable as well. Okay, so then let's delve further into this question. How do you create perfect products? So you need 3 things, and these are all the topics that we specialize in here at Trendstop. So the first one is that you not only need trends, you need consumer relevant trends. So they can't be just any trends without confirmation and validation. And then the second point is you need the correct trend application. So you need to how to apply these trends in the right way for your particular target audience and markets. And then thirdly, you need what we call wasteless range building, which is not only being able to apply trends in individual products, but being able to create a balanced balanced and cohesive ranges that are all coming together as items that consumers will want to buy, and that contain those best-selling items for the season for your customer. And this means that what makes it wasteless is that there'll be no wasted time, money, or resources spent on creating products that are not going to sell. And then that is, of course, better for the planet as well, because there will be less waste on resources to make it everything more sustainable. Also, because if things don't sell, they end up being discounted, and because consumers don't want them, and then in worst case scenario, the unwanted products end up in the landfill or having to be burned, and that's what we want to avoid.
So let's take a look at how we identify new and emerging trends that are at the start of the trend curve at the innovator stage. We're going to share a trend timeline of the lightweight translucent sneaker. We'll look at its development from innovator to early adopter. We first identified the trend emerging on the catwalks, and these are some of the early 2.5% trend curve innovator examples. We combined material from our different innovator sources to develop a curated forecast. And we continued to follow the trend as it manifested in the early adopter validation, and here we can see it in a more commercial form.
And so so that was the step one of identifying consumer relevant trends. And then let's take a look at the step two, which is then how to apply these trends correctly. This is just a quick snapshot, and then we'll jump into some practical examples to show you what this looks like in practice.
So we have a graph here that goes from the loss makers to the profit creators. The first circle shows the loss maker, and overall the retro styling doesn't gel with the lightweight concept. The second circle shows the reduced sales item. The style is lighter, but the detailing is heavy and dated. The third circle shows the missed profit opportunity, and here the silhouette and the material are right for the trend, but the missed opportunity is in not using a fashion color. And lastly, we have the profit creator designed by our sneaker team. This example translates the lightweight look perfectly, combining translucency with a fashion color and a considered on-trend detailing. So at Trendstop, we bring you the perfect product formula built into all our forecasts. And this means that trend application is optimized across color, print and graphics, material, shape, and detailing. If one of these fails, then the rest of the product doesn't sell as well as it could. And this means that the effort and resources that went into creating the product were at least partly wasted just because a color didn't work or a print was out of date.
So next then, let's take a look at some live examples of these two first steps. So here we have a typical shopping site with we've gone into the sales section. So these are all examples of products that the consumers didn't want. And then first to cover the first point, the perfect brand doesn't make the perfect result. So we have some really high level brands here. We have Burberry, Givenchy, Loewe, and so on. And this is not to say that these brands don't create perfect products that do sell, but these particular styles didn't consider certain consumer expectations, and therefore they had to be discounted. So so the brand doesn't guarantee success. So let's take a look at this Burberry Black Star hoodie in further detail. And how do we know that this product is not perfect? So we can find that out very easily by going onto the Trendstop site. And if we just do a search for star, which is the main feature of this hoodie, we can see that there's some like licensing information, Star Wars and stuff. But the last time dark stars on a white star story on the dark background where it's trending was in fall winter 2015 party season, and party season even follows behind a little bit of the real fashion trends. So this really is a dated trend from more than 5 years ago. So it's not possible to sell this this feature right now to anybody, no matter how great the brand name. So let's then take a look at, by contrast, something that is selling in the market and how the features of that have been discovered. So this is one of our clients, and if we stay with the topic of sweatshirts, here is one example of a quite a different sweatshirt. It's a much lighter material. It's this kind of new sort of neoprene looking very smooth jersey. It's got a modern color in that it's not a classic pink, but it's a sort of modern feminine color. It's got the tonal detailing. It's got the square cut, and it's furthermore being developed into this kind of lounge outfits, which is of course important at this time. So then if we again jump onto the Trendstop website to take a look what we can discover about this item that is selling well in the market and isn't by a famous high-end brand. So but it's by a retailer who really follows the trends closely. So if we first look at the color, we have here, you can see some of our colors for the season, and you can see that they have these sort of new feminine shades and this softer approach, so not just harsh black, but this kind of new feminine tones coming through. And then if we look at on the material side of things, I just jumped into our material section, and here we can select the season, but in this case we're just going to take a quick look at this material forecast for clean compact sweat. So you can already see those really smooth sweatshirt materials, just like we saw in the Zara example, that these are really important in the market at the moment. And then further, if we go then into the shape, so we've jumped now into our apparel section, and we are in our forecast key items. And here we can now go ahead, we can choose season, but also the product category that we might be interested in. So we can go, in this case, tops, tees, and sweats. And then we're going to just jump into this season and look at filter into tops, tees, and sweats here. And then let's look at this refined organic crop. So here you can see that same square shape we just looked at, and also in these softer, newer feminine colors rather than sort of the classic pinks. And it's part of the sort of sustainability movement as well, how these eco colors are coming through, and the sort of softer approach rather than very harsh blacks or harsh bright colors. So and then finally, if we then go further to the validation cycle we spoke about and Kate talked you through, we can now then go to look at how the validation of sweatshirts is coming through. So if we filter again to the tops, tees, and sweats here, we can look at, for instance, this here we have the softly sculpted sweat, where you can see then, so these are, so we validate the trend 6 months and 12 months later after the forecast. So you get 3 market levels of validation of this trend, going through all of these different the green zone levels, from the innovator to early adopter to early mainstream. And here we are sort of in the early adopter phase, and we are looking at this sort of smooth, again, this sort of smooth neoprene looking material and these modern soft, modern feminine colors. Or if we look at from our core range, which is then going into the mainstream, we have here the clean elbow length tee, and here you can see also this is a t-shirt example, but you see that same square cut and those lovely soft modern sort of more eco-friendly colors coming through. So let's then go back, and next we would like to then show you how our clients are using our Trendstop information, and especially supplier clients, because we know that a lot of you in the audience are suppliers. So we want to show you how you can super quickly validate the right trends and present your customers with pretty amazing accurate trend presentations. So this is the courtesy of one of our Chinese supplier clients called Jatyri SN, and what they did is that they wanted someone who has a bit more Western design understanding, though. So they hired a graduate designer, Olivia, in New York, and she has kindly shared her mood boards with us. And then they bought Trendstop as the tool that they rely on to make sure that their trends are correct. So these are just a couple of Olivia's mood boards that she's built quickly from Trendstop, and you can see how amazing results you can get just even being a graduate, let alone with someone with more experience in the industry. You get, and it doesn't matter if you don't speak perfect English, you get these beautiful, all the lovely English phrases. We write beautiful language about the trends. You can grab all these elements from the site pretty instantly. So I would like to now reverse engineer one of these boards for you, so you can see where this information is coming from. So if we see we have some of these colors here: nostalgia gray, almondine, lamella, and then on this other one, white sky and ash navy. And then we're gonna look at some of the materials. So here we are talking about lighter than air as a material, and we have this sort of really lightweight materials coming through. So let's take a look how that looks on the site. So first, if we again jump to our color section, you can see all of these colors here: lamella, nostalgia gray, almondine, and then we had ash navy and the white sky. And these are very like a handy little presentation formats. You can just grab any screenshots you want and present to your clients. You can see some of those early innovator product examples, how these colors have been applied to the customer. Because our forecasts are validated so well, customers are always commenting that they really get bestsellers consistently from using our information. So we really have validated everything that goes on the site through the trend curve to know that it's really right and coming through along the curve. And then if we jump into materials, we can go into, so we saw a couple of those lightweight materials on that mood board. So here we have our lighter than air forecast. So we can already see, so Olivia's very smart, she's grabbed the Fendi example here. We've got this text here: sheer weightless layers are created by veil-like chiffons, organza and georgettes. And then we have also, Olivia also picked this June J example. So we've got the brand references here as well, and you can also save the large images. So so this is what we can see on her in this section of her mood board. And then we go into the pattern and the shape. So we have, from the print perspective, we have In Awe of the Ocean, and then we are going into this sort of sheer layered, lighter than air dresses here. So let's take a look at that part just briefly. So then next up in our print forecast, we have beautiful print forecasts of all the print trends that are coming through. So here we have the In Awe of the Ocean from the selection, and here again you can see that this is just a couple of quick screenshots to just grab the copy, and whatever were Olivia's favorite images, she grabbed them and placed them on her mood board. And this is super quick to do, just with quick screenshots, and then using PowerPoint or Keynote or whichever is your favorite tool to use. And then we had, last but not least, the shape. So we have this sort of airy dress going on here. So if we go now to, again, back to our apparel forecast key items, and this time we're gonna filter down to dresses. And so we have here the cloud dress, which links back to that lighter than air trend. And here you can already see this from the Acne Studios example. And what's fantastic also about Trendstop is that you have all of these brand references. I mean, these are a little bit known brands, but you get all fantastic new references throughout the Trendstop and Instagram accounts that you can check. And all of this information is just so quick and easy to grab. And then if you see something that you would like to look into their collection further, you can just go and check them on Instagram or check their collection. But it stops this kind of like less browsing the internet hoping to find something. You get everything very, very well targeted to your audience instantly here. So that was thank you, Olivia, very much for your share. And this is just a little summary that this is how Olivia is showing and working with the perfect product formula almost automatically. Like everything she grabs from Trendstop is automatically fitting into the perfect product formula. So the color is on trend, print and graphics are on trend, material is on trend, shape is on trend, and detailing are on trend. So and this can be done in 5, 10, 15 minutes. You can have a fantastic presentation for your customers, and you can even just not only that, you can just take quick screenshots from the site. You can take screenshots of those material boards, like we looked at that sweatshirt board, and send it to your fabric supplier and ask that, hey guys, do you have something like this? So it just speeds up everything and makes everything targeted so that you can very quickly create collections that sell. Okay, and then last but not least, the step 3, wasteless range building. So let's just explore that a little bit. So we looked at creating individual products. So then next step would be then to take those perfect individual products and build them into a successful range. So here we have a couple of, again, case study examples. So this is one of our brand clients, Timberland, and this is what the premium range looked like before they started working with us. And here we have the example how the premium range is looking now. 5 years on, we worked with them for about 3 years, and you can see how, again, everything is elevated, consumer relevance. We've even helped them identify some new product opportunities like the sports sandals for summer, and they have seen tremendous sales growth from these on-trend consumer relevant improvements. And then here is another example just for anyone who might be in the home sector, and just to show a bit of variety and to prove that this method really works across all product categories. If you sell a product that has color, shape, and texture and pattern, then this method will work for you. So here is one of our more value-based home retail clients, and this is what they were doing before, and this is an example how they were sort of building their ranges. And as we can see, again, it looks a little bit messy and not sort of as perfect as it could be. So what we've done with them, we help them sort of really clean up everything and give them a clear and modern trend direction to follow, and modern key items that they can work with to create beautiful ranges that are really desirable for their customers. And how we work with them to help them with the range building is that we meet with their team every week, and we work with the design and buying teams to build these perfectly curated items into the collection, and then we collaborate with the suppliers as well. So the suppliers send what they've got available, and we help advise how to change the products to make them better and make them really right for the consumer. So it's a really lovely collaboration, and again leads to some pretty awesome sales results. So that's all we've got for you today. We hope you enjoyed the presentation, and there's again the QR code in the corner for you to grab our details or grab our email address for Annabelle and write to us and talk to us if you would like to learn how we could help your business. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks all for your time today.
Thank you, Jaana. Here comes to the end of individual presentations, and we'll start a panel discussion moderated by our panel chair, Mr. Michael Leow, Asia Pacific Sales and Marketing Head of Fashion Snoops. May I pass the time to Michael, please?
Okay, speaking to my two good friends, Matt and to Jaana, so this is going to be a pleasure for me. So really, I think the question that obviously is going to be on top of everybody's mind as it pertains to trends moving forward is, as we've all touched on in all of our segments, is the reaction of the consumers, of retailers to the pandemic. So one of the questions that has been put to me to ask is, do we think that as a result of the pandemic, fashion will become more seasonless?
I guess shall I take this one now? Unless Matt, feel free to contribute. But I'll start by saying that yes, absolutely, it's fashion. So the pandemic has shown across all industries how things do need to change, and it's kind of like a wake-up call in many ways to shed things that aren't working and really focus on what works. And the fashion industry has some pretty archaic ways of working in some ways that aren't relevant to how consumers want to shop or receive products. And of course, the sort of customization is one thing that is going to happen more and more, and that's really to do with the manufacturing limitations. If a customer could walk into the store and say, I want to buy, describe what they want to buy, and that thing could appear in front of them instantly, then of course that would be the ideal, and we wouldn't need these long lead times and all the rest of it. So but in the meanwhile, whilst we are working towards that, then yes, it's increasingly vital to really try and get ahead of the consumer and offer them what they want.
Matt, if you don't mind, I'd just like to put a follow-up question to Jaana, a little bit more related to her. Jaana, do you feel that fashion customers, along those lines of what you've just said, do you think they're also buying with more of a conscience?
Oh yes, that's a fantastic question, and we are very passionate about sustainability and helping the industry become less wasteful. So yes, absolutely, and it goes with the trend curve we spoke about. So the innovators and the early adopters are already very much in this mindset, and it's sort of working its way towards the mainstream at the moment. And it means just in practical terms that, for instance, consumers are going to do much more research before they buy something. So they are researching online and checking all the different brands and the different products. That if you want to buy a jacket, the consumers check what are the options, what jackets are out there, and not just the prices, not just looking for the cheapest, but the best value, like what are the best design features I can get for the price that I'm willing to pay, and if the two products are equal and one is more sustainable, then increasingly customers will choose more sustainable options as well.
And if I could sort of twist that around a little bit, Matt, and ask the same sort of question for you with the data that's provided by Omnilytics. Have you seen, or how can Omnilytics help us decide which way consumers are going as it relates to sustainability?
Yeah, I think it's a really great question. I think we're in a lovely situation between us and Trendstop. And Trendstop have these concepts and designs, and on our side, we're able to tell you empirically what is selling right now. So anything that Trendstop is doing, we can tell you, yeah, it's happening right now, and consumers are selling it. It's empirical. I think one of the things that is very important to point out is that seasonless fashion, or having less drops per season, was becoming a thing towards the end of 2019. This is not a new thing in 2021. We have seen that these big brands are slowing down those launches. And like Jaana was saying just now, it's very clear to see that consumers they know what they want. They know what they're trying to get. And actually, I remember when I saw you in Guangzhou a few years ago, you were talking about individualism back then. And I think that it's becoming a real point now. I mentioned a little bit in the presentation, they're becoming so savvy that they can find anything they want for what they ideally, conceptually, in their platonic ideas are looking for, which is, what Jaana is saying as well. And what we're seeing from our side is that big brands are doing this as well. Even Nike's kind of thrown that whole concept out the window entirely. The premium brands are throwing those concepts out the window, albeit slower than other brands in the market. With that being said, there are other ultra fast fashion brands, Nasty Girl and those sort of ilk of brands in the world that are sort of ramping up in their side. But the reason why they're ramping up is because they can. Their supply chain is so quick, the supply chain is so efficient that they can do that. And there's a lot of wastage, and people are coming down hard on them for doing this. So they're going to have to try and find a different way to do it. And how have they done it? Well, a really good example is Zara. Zara does this on a day-to-day basis, and you'll see this in evidence every day. If you walk into your local Zara, any of you that are listening, walk into your local Zara today, and SOPs, before all of that. But if you can walk into your local Zara, go in, and the first thing that you will see in front of you is going to be brand new stock, brand new SKUs that have just been released that week. And what Zara do is they're watching you, and they're watching whether you pick it up, whether you try it on, whether you take it home. And if you take it home, you buy it, it's performing really, really well in that store, great. They take that product, and they put it somewhere else in the store. And what they do next week, they bring in a new product. So what they are doing in that instance is they're moving very quickly, but they're testing with small depths, small quantities of products, getting into the market, testing it. Its a result, fantastic, great. We'll make more products in that shape of mind. So there's this blend of sustainability and blend of this fast fashion. And if the product doesn't sell well in that store, but it sells well in the store down the road, maybe it doesn't sell so well in Wan Chai, but it's selling well in Kowloon, come down the road. It's in that store here. And so we're seeing this blend even with these ultra fast fashion brands as well. And as to your second question about buying with a conscience, yes, you know, we're becoming a socially almost uber over the top aware of everything that's going on. Call it woke if you want to. And we're seeing this world that is changing and shifting, and it's all based on opinion and social movement. And look, Nike's a great example. I use Nike because I think they're great at this. Whether the intentions behind it, you know, are right or not, that's something completely different. But you know, the whole Colin Kaepernick, the NFL player that took a knee for standing up for black rights, they backed him. They said, we're gonna sponsor you. We're gonna get behind you. We're gonna you know, really say that we believe that you guys are going to be on the right side of history. And of course, what we're seeing now is we're seeing more black people getting involved, or more people of ethnic heritage getting involved within everything that we're seeing, whether it's in the private sphere, in the professional sphere, in the social sphere. So we're seeing this movement of people being socially aware of what is happening, because it's becoming a political instance in our lifetime. And whether we like it or not, it's history. And I think that because it's history, because there is this shift that we're seeing on mainstream media, primarily from America, because that's where the majority of our news comes from, we're seeing this shift, and it's becoming such an everyday presence in our lives. How can it not become an everyday presence in our fashion as well?
Can I just speak a little bit to that testing point, because I'm sure it will interest a lot of people. So because then of course the golden question is what to test, and that's where that our trend curve method comes in handy as well. That our customers test the items that are in the innovator or in the early adopter segment, depending on how far they are in the market, where their level is. So that's where you get the testing material, and then you get the answers what you should be testing, and then you'll get, like you say, you'll then get the results and go further into bigger volumes once you get some successful results back.
Yeah, that's great, you guys. The one thing that we also all touched on a little bit, obviously from the pandemic, is this great consumer shift from offline bricks and mortar shopping to online shopping. Moving forward, do you see that sort of, I guess, the percentage being the same, or do you see it moving a little bit more to a balance between bricks and mortar and online, or have we become also accustomed to, you know, shopping online, that it's probably more or less irreversible? What do you feel about that, you guys?
Matthew can of course talk more about the retail aspect of it, but just from the kind of consumer mindset perspective, so definitely online is very much here to stay and will continue to grow. Here in the UK, where I'm based, this is one of the most highest adopted online shopping countries, and this trend will continue to gather momentum in other markets too. But and once the stores come back online, of course there'll be that sort of burst of excitement to get back into physical store and be able to touch and feel and have that experience. But at the same time, during the lockdowns, people have really gotten used to convenience, and you just don't want the hassle of getting out of your couch and going to the store anymore. So and at the same time, especially we've been speaking about Zara, they are one of the retailers who are really pioneering the better measuring, better knowing the fit and understanding the fit for online shopping. So that's going to continue, so that online shopping will also be better and hopefully result in less returns. So it's a very much growing, hugely growing aspect of the market.
And Matt, from a data point of view?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no doubt. I mean, at the start of the pandemic, we saw a 40% increase in presence online, sales online, a 40% increase. I mean, that is massive. I mean, if we went to the Wall Street people on Wall Street, they'd be like, "What? You know, what's increasing by 40%?" But I think what's crucial about this is that consumers have to change their mindset. And I think too many brands out there probably aren't taking this real seriously. consumers have to change their mindset because they physically can't get outside. But brands are not changing their mindset. And then the question remains is, well, who are you selling to? You're selling to consumers. And if you're not aware of their mindset change, then how can you be aware of anything else? I mean, in Greater China, for example, and I'll bring up Nike again because they've just done incredibly well over this time period. So they topped sales analyst estimates. So they reported seeing a 36% increase in digital sales. Okay, in Greater China, it rose by more than 30%. So, essentially, according to our data, we saw a higher sellout rate at 67% for the first 3 months of 2020, in comparison with last year, which was 45% in the same period. Now, granted, less people are going to offline stores, but the huge increase in that was mesmeric. What they also did as well, which was genius, was that they said, well, everyone's inside, but they still have to work out, right? So they launched their Nike running app and Nike training app and put a lot of money into that. Their athleisure wear and their exercise wear, that rose by over 40% across the board. Doesn't matter whether you're offline or online, it rose by 40% across the board. So, consumers are shifting their change, but it's only the real, like you guys are saying, early adopters who are really taking control of this. And it's very clear to see that athleisure wear took a huge jump at that point. So, I mean, they went full digital. They closed all their stores, took all their stocks, went full digital. They adapted fast to market changes. They were sharing better discounts. They were bringing constant newness. Every week was a new product being released. This wasn't necessarily, products that were arranged for the future at all. These are products that they knew they're going to release over the next few months. And they decided, well, you know what? We'll do small little drips week by week, keep people interested, keep people invested. And it has worked incredibly well. So yeah, I mean, look, it's very clear to see that this is a huge shift, but also at the same time, the brands out there, they need to be aware that offline is not going to go away, but online is here and it's here to stay. And the way in which you can communicate with your consumers through those channels is going to be so important for the next couple of years and how many consumers you get in the long term anyway.
Mm. I believe we only have less than a minute left of time. So Jaana, give you the opportunity to sort of sum everything up and say our farewells.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks, Matt. Lovely to speak with you, and thanks for organizing this event and giving us this platform to speak. And in summary, yes, as we've seen, the theme is that the consumers, what they want is really the number one consideration, and brands, retailers, suppliers, everyone has to become smarter at really understanding what they want in the future and trying to deliver that to them, because what's the point? Otherwise the effort will be wasted and things don't sell and resources are wasted, and nobody wants that. So hopefully it's been insightful for everyone. Thank you, Jaana. And Matt, any parting words?
Yeah, I mean, again, appreciate HKTDC for this, and Mike and Jaana as well. I've worked in this industry for quite a while now, maybe not as long as you guys have. But I think that what is amazing, and I think what is incredible about this time period, is that we're seeing necessary change. We're seeing necessary evolution. And the quicker that people take on brands or sort of vendors like Trendstop, like Fashion Snoops, like Omnilytics, but even not us, even just by looking or reassessing your business strategy, your go-to-market strategy, is going to massively help the way in which you go to market. And it may seem very, very obvious, but I don't think a lot of people do that. And I can tell you right now, if there's nothing else that you take away from today, it is what has sold historically is not going to sell in the future. What has played out for consumers historically is not going to happen in the future. And you're going to see shifts in demands. You look at it and go, in my day, I don't think that happened. I don't think that was very successful. But I can guarantee you now, with the infrastructure in place, with the speed of connection, with the ease we're having this conversation, which 5 years ago would have been laughable. With the ease of this, I can guarantee you, this is the start of a mesmeric catalyst of fashion and the revolution of fashion and retail all over the world.
That's fantastic. I echo the thoughts and sentiments of my fellow panelists. I really do hope that you guys have all enjoyed seeing the presentation today as much as we've all enjoyed ourselves presenting it to you. And again, on behalf of Matt and Jaana, we would like to thank you for your time and also thank the Hong Kong Trade Development Council for putting this event together and really for giving us that opportunity to get together. So thank you, Maggie and your team as well. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks to all our panelists for the insightful sharing. If you have any questions in mind, you're welcome to reach out to them for further discussions after the event. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Here comes to the end of the session. Once again, on behalf of the HKTDC, thank you for your participation. Later, you will also be directed to the online questionnaire. Please fill it out and submit it to let us know your thoughts on the session. 今天的研讨会圆满结束，再次感谢讲者精彩的分享。为了更了解各校的想法以及意见，我们诚邀各校填写研讨会问卷。Apart from the session just now, we have more fashion-related webinars coming up on International Sourcing Show Online Intelligence Hub, including the Perfect Storm, Future-Proofing Your Fashion Business that will start at 2 p.m. today. Please visit Intelligence Hub on our ISS website and gain insights from industry experts. Don't miss the business matching opportunities to explore business with our exhibitors. Thanks again for joining us today and wishing you fruitful business in the International Sourcing Show Online. Thank you. 再次感谢各位今天的参与，再见。